The job itself is rarely actually hard. It all boils down to who you work with. I, and everyone have heard it. It's not about the job, but it's about the people that you work with. And I want to get into that. A job can be so unbearable, so miserable, but it doesn't matter if you're able to form a little tight-knit community, but none of it matters. Your job may be horrible, your job may be miserable. You might suffer quite a lot mentally at your job, but none of it matters if you're able to form this sort of tight-knit community at your job. It's never really about the work of the job, whatever it is. Yeah, construction can be extremely hard. Concrete work can be extremely hard. Law enforcement, certain guard jobs, certain customer service, certain waitressing jobs, all those can be extremely taxing and hard. But in all honesty, they aren't that taxing if you're able to have a community with you to really go through it with you. And it not only gets hard when you have people that are actively making your job hard that you work with, but it can even make it hard if you don't even have that community with you. People that think, oh, well, I can just get by at my job, by not talking to people and avoiding the drama. Even then, their job gets so sluggish. Their job gets so boring and mundane. And that's because they're not able to see the excitement in it, in even the everyday little things, whatever it may be, because they don't have people at their job that have their back. Everyone has their own back, which in turn, everyone's got no one's back, because you can only have your own back for so long. You can only struggle by yourself for so long until eventually you got to say to yourself, man, I'm just going to put myself out there, whatever it is. You might be able to get through your job for a decent while, for a decent amount, and just kind of put your head down and go about your day and really just do your job and clock in, clock out. But the job gets to everyone. The job gets to everyone. It's not about the job, but it's about the people you work with. And I'm just going to keep harping on that. I've worked jobs that seem so easy on paper, but then you work with the most uptight, I've worked the easiest jobs, or at least the jobs that seem easy on paper, where, you're just this lowly security guard and you just kind of pretend like you're running security. But then you work with these people that are very ignorant, that are very selfish, that are very entitled, that don't want to listen to anyone, that don't want to work with you, that just want to live their own selfish lifestyle and are just overall set in their ways. And I've worked those jobs that, yeah, the work is super easy, but man, the job's still miserable. And the job is miserable because of the people. And I know not always you can control the people that you work with. And I say this especially as a man, you really can control your environment. Because I've worked at Walmart multiple times where the job is so boring. The supervisors, the managers, they're always asking for more. Keep up the work, keep going. But I was able to really reach out to a few people, and I was able to make friends at the workplace. And I was able to really make the work environment fun and worthwhile going to, and really create a bond with one another. And of course that ended with people kind of taking advantage of the situation, take advantage of one another, people that overall are selfish. But I still do believe that there is a way to find that middle ground. I know it's so hard, and I know it's even more risky. And I've had the hardest jobs, where I had the best people to work around, and the hardest jobs felt like the easiest. The hardest jobs, we're dealing with a lot of very intense, very adrenaline rush driven situations, to where you kind of get this camaraderie built. And then you and the others might have started off on a rough start. And I know some people might say well, you got to kind of prove your keep. You got to prove your worth. But in those jobs, they were the best. They were literally the easiest. And I feel like I had a higher purpose that I was following. That didn't really, because the work itself was pretty hard on its own. But I knew at the end of the day, I had people to fall back on. I had a group, I had a community to fall back on, a community of the people that I worked with, even though I didn't really hang out with them after work. And I didn't really hang out with him after work, but when you clocked in with them, it was like you guys are tight. You guys are with one another. All right, I think that's all I got to say. All right, God bless.